So in the next 3 days, I'm going to try to use this Apple Magic Mouse exclusively, and hopefully I won't have to resort to going back to the MX Anywhere 3S. I'm not sure how the next few days will turn out, but if you are interested to find out, then stick around. Today is day 0 and we'll move on to day 1 very soon. See you tomorrow. Because it was the first time I'm using the Magic Mouse, I gave myself just 2 30-second clips to edit. One of it is the B-roll at the start of this video. But based on first impressions, the mouse feels very imprecise and unresponsive, especially when I'm trying to click on a small target. When I'm trying to split a bar, I also find it difficult to split at the exact segment that I want, and I would have to redo or trim the bar again to correct it. It just felt really sluggish, and I took a long time to edit 2 clips. I did some research online and realized that this could be because the sensor of the Magic Mouse is at the front instead of being at the center. This means that movements coming from the bottom of the mouse will be muted, while movements from the top is fine. And because I'm using my thumb and ring finger predominantly when I make fine adjustments to the cursor, the bottom of the mouse moves a lot more than the front of the mouse, especially when I'm using a traditional mouse like the MX Anywhere 3S. Now that the sensor is at the top of the mouse, I have to use wrist movements more to shift the movement to the front of the mouse instead of the bottom of the mouse. I have also tried the multi-touch feature on the surface of the mouse, and I have some mixed feelings about it. Scrolling on it does feel buttery smooth on the video editing timeline and also on web browsers. It feels as if I'm scrolling on a 120Hz scroll wheel on this mouse, but when I'm scrolling on the MX Anywhere mouse, it feels like I'm scrolling at 45Hz. I also find the touch scrolling to be a little sensitive, as I would often zoom in or zoom out too much when I'm editing on the timeline. Also, when I'm using CapCut, I'm used to moving the timeline horizontally by holding the command and scrolling the physical scroll wheel on the MX Anywhere mouse. But you can't do that with the Magic Mouse for some reason. Instead, you have to slide your index finger horizontally on the touch surface in order to do that. Overall, all these mistakes that I'm making really adds up, and it feels painfully slow to edit the 2 30-second clips that I did today. I will be editing this day 1 talking head video tomorrow using the Magic Mouse, and also add some B-rolls on top of it. So be sure to stay around a little longer to see what's my experience with this mouse. See you again tomorrow. Alright, we've come to the end of day 2, and there are several interesting things I found out about the Magic Mouse. First of all, I tried to master all of the gestures on this mouse, and in the process I realized that the touchable surface area on the mouse is actually really wide. Basically, all the surface above the Apple logo is touch sensitive. So when scrolling, you don't actually have to bring your index finger to the middle area where the physical scroll wheel is typically located on a conventional mouse. You can scroll from anywhere, from the top left, top right, or bottom area, as long as it is above the Apple logo. If you want to go back or forward a web page, just swipe your finger from the left or right border of the mouse, much like how you would do it on an iPhone or the trackpad on the MacBook. You can bring up mission control by double tapping on the surface with 2 fingers, and if you want to swap between full screen applications, just swipe horizontally with 2 fingers. You can also zoom into a web page by double tapping with a single finger. Again, this is how you would do it on an iPhone as well. I do wish it can zoom in with a pinch gesture instead, like how you would do it on the Magic Trackpad, but that's not possible on this Magic Mouse. One cool trick is that if you don't like the inertial scrolling effect, which is the gradual slowing down that you see whenever you try to scroll a page, you can just hold down your middle finger while scrolling, then the inertial effect will disappear. The next thing I discovered is that the Magic Mouse is also pretty compatible with iPads, although it does lose some of the gesture features. As I'm using the Magic Mouse with the iPad mini 7, I realized that you cannot use the single double tap gesture to zoom in and out of a web page. And you also cannot open up mission control by double tapping with 2 fingers on the Magic Mouse. The double finger horizontal swipe also does nothing on the iPad as well. Vertical and horizontal scrolling still does work perfectly, and you still get that super smooth inertial scrolling effect. This is an advantage over the MX Anywhere 3S because it's quite buggy and jittery when scrolling on that Logitech mouse. However, similar to the Apple Magic Keyboard, you do need a wired connection for the first time when you're pairing with the iPad. And if you paired the Magic Mouse with another computer previously, you'll need to forget the Magic Mouse on that computer first before you can pair this mouse with another iPad. But after you have paired the iPad with the Magic Mouse once, the iPad will remember the connection and it will appear as a pairable device in the future, even without a wire. As for the mouse accuracy, I think I'm getting noticeably more accurate when aiming at smaller targets. It feels like I don't have to wrestle with the mouse that much anymore during the entire 1 to 2 hours of video editing that I did today. And I would say that I'm about 60 to 70% as accurate as my MX Anywhere 3S. I'm using wrist movements more than finger movements now, but it isn't really a conscious process. I think it's just my brain adapting and learning on its own. I've also been trying out some games to improve my mouse accuracy. Hopefully that will help me adjust a little bit faster. Alright, that's all for day 2. Tomorrow is the last day and I can't wait to give my verdict on this mouse. Make sure to stay till the end and I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, so the last day is over. Right now is the end of day 3 and I did a longer video editing session today and my mouse accuracy has noticeable improvements again, probably around 80% of the accuracy with my MX Anywhere 3S. I played a mouse accuracy game with my Magic Mouse over here. The average score over 3 games is within 20% of the accuracy on my Magic Mouse. So to answer the question in the title of this video, I think it is possible for you to learn and get used to this criminally unergonomic mouse that everybody is hating on, but only to the point where it feels sufficiently comfortable to do web browsing and file management stuffs. I still do feel that there is a fair bit of unnaturalness when trying to edit videos quickly with this mouse. If I want to edit a video as fast as possible, like if I'm behind schedule, I will still reach for my MX Anywhere 3S every single time because of how ergonomic it is and how comfortable it is. At least this is what I think with just 3 days of use on the Magic Mouse. The biggest learning curve is having to unlearn the habit of using fingers for micro adjustments of the cursor. The front placement of the sensor will really throw you off the first time when you're using it, and it takes longer to get used to compared to other mice. I know many reviewers mention something about fingers cramping or tightening, but I haven't found that to be an issue for the first 3 days at least. Perhaps that is because my hand is quite small, so my index and middle fingers are not as bent as it would be compared to someone with longer fingers. It certainly doesn't feel as comfortable as my MX Anywhere 3S because that mouse contacts my entire palm, giving it a lot of support, and I can maintain the arc passively without having to contract the muscles in my hands. With the Magic Mouse, however, my palm isn't supported at all and the palm is just hovering above the Magic Mouse. This means that the muscles in my hands have to contract constantly in order to maintain the arc. The glass surface at the top is smooth, but there needs to be a bit of a wear-in period because initially when you unboxed it, it feels kind of rough and difficult to execute the gestures. So initially I was kind of wondering why isn't the surface of the mouse as smooth as those that I've used before in the Apple stores. And the reason is because everybody's skin oil has touched the Magic Mouse in the Apple store. That's why that one is so smooth. And it does take a bit of time for the oil on your skin to get onto the surface before it starts to feel smooth. I hope this video was helpful to you. If you're interested in other Apple products, why not check out my review of the Apple Watch Series 10 and also the iPad mini 7. See you in the next video.